Hello everyone, my name is Hristi Wilbur. I'm artist and maker from Phoenix and I teach 2 classes in Thunderbird Center for the Arts, acrylics for beginners, and the other one is botanical explorations in acrylics. Welcome to my studio. It's my very lovely creative mess. So today I'm gonna present to you the very first project. This one is called, the whole series of projects is going to be called Kit Haring and the Optical Illusions. We're going to make these little tiny Kit Haring inspired creatures, and they're going to be hanging, let's say, on different objects in our optical illusions. The optical illusion projects I usually find on Pinterest, and we're going to use them simply as a drawing exercise, so I don't think that's going to be a problem. So the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna create my space, and that's the only time when I'm gonna use my ruler, because I usually don't allow my students to use rulers in my class. So but just to get the borders right, I'm gonna use my ruler, and I'm gonna make my work area 8 by 8. And if I make more of these optical illusions, they all are going to be the same size, so later on we can put them all together and create something like a big poster with all of them. So the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to try to connect the diagonals as good as I possibly can. So connecting the diagonals, I'm going to find where the center of my page, of my workspace is, and after that I'm gonna start making lines going this way first. They obviously are not gonna be perfect, but as good as my hand can do it, I'm gonna try to work without a ruler. So I'm going to do this on one side and after that on the other. Try to space the lines evenly as much as you possibly can. And now I'm going to start doing the same thing going this way. Oh, it's kind of crooked, so I'm going to use my eraser in a minute just to make this line a little bit straighter. We're not going to be able to finish the entire coloring of the project for the time that we have for this video, but I'll try to cover as much as possible so you can understand how to finish the project. So I'm creating this diagonal grid first. And I'm gonna use my eraser to straighten up just a few of my lines. I'm using kneaded eraser, which is one great thing that you can use. That's the best eraser that I have ever worked with. It's very nice and is a little bit like a Play-Doh, but erases lines perfectly. Just gets the graphite out very easily. So once I'm done with all the grid, I'm gonna start placing my circles, and I will have 3 circles in my design. I'll have one really big one placed right here. That's gonna be kind of the main object in my optical illusion. I'm gonna have one middle one right here. And I'll have one really small one up here. So once I'm done with this step, I'm going to erase inside of my circle all these lines I don't need for now. And inside, I'm going to place different lines for the pattern. I'm going to start from, I will kind of split again, but with this temporary lines, I'm going to split my circle in half, and I'll start from the middle And I will go with a little bit curved lines here. And I'll do the same exact thing on the other side. And the same thing along this line. Once I'm done with this step, I'm gonna erase the supporting temporary lines from here. And since we don't have much time for this video, I'm gonna start coloring. All the other circles are done the exact same way. So you erase inside, make the temporary lines, and after that you work with your slightly curved lines. The same thing applies for all the circles. After you're done with this step, we're gonna start coloring, and I will start marking where the light and the dark areas are gonna be. I'm gonna start with the very middle here, and the coloring goes like a checkerboard. For now, I'm only making my very, very basic sketch. It's very important to do that so you don't have more problems in the future when you start coloring. And the same thing we're gonna do here. We're gonna start from the very top and we're gonna go down with the checkerboard pattern. I like to work with black and white, but if you want to, you can work with any color that you like or combination of colors. Complementary colors are gonna be a very good idea here, so you can work with purple and orange, or blue and yellow, and red, green, or any combination you like. Obviously, your design is gonna look better if one of your colors is really dark and one is really light, so you have better contrast. When it comes to materials, the best materials are going to be color pencils, markers, Sharpies, but if you want, of course, you can watercolor or you can use any material that you like. I'll just try to cover a little bit. Oops, here I already made a mistake. This should be right here. And I will go a little further down. And I will start coloring because I want to show you how to color and, more importantly, how to shade. So I will darken up. I'll put this little paper down here so I don't mess the other side up. I'll darken up my circle first. After that, I'll take my really dark black color pencil and I'll start coloring the checkerboard. It's very time consuming, but you will see once you finish the project, you're gonna be so happy with the results. It's all worth it. It's worth the time. And it can be a very, very meditative experience doing this. It's just, the whole repetition and coloring is just very, very soothing, at least for me. You can go with your lines in any direction you want. If you want, you can go just make a grid, or you can do it like me, just go in any direction you want. And you can even out, of course, later. All this color need to be kind of evened out. But I'm rushing now, and maybe my color is not gonna be that precisely done. Here maybe it would have been better to have one more lines. We'll see. Clean this up later. Okay, I'm rushing now, but I'll try to make just few of the squares of the background. The idea is that the squares in the background are gonna be colored exactly the same way as the ones inside of the spheres. Okay, so that's good enough for just basic drawing, and I want to show you how to make this this sphere look 3D. So we're gonna start shading a little bit here. Actually, I'll start shading with a regular pencil. And even if you're working with watercolors, or if you're working with markers especially, you definitely have to do your shading with pencils, because markers are not a good material for shading. They're maybe the worst material for shading. They're very good for flat, big areas to be covered, but they're not good for shading. So maybe you can get some color pencils or just a regular pencil and shade your sphere. So the logic is the same as always. We have to decide where is our source of light. We're gonna imagine that the light comes from here, and I'm gonna start shading, going from darkest right here, and it's gonna get lighter and lighter and lighter further up I go. Here I'm gonna have my cast shadow, which is the darkest area of the shading inside of the object. And I'm gonna shade it. I'm not gonna go to pure black in my shading. It's gonna be kind of grayish. I'm gonna go with medium grays and darker grays. And the darkest area is gonna be right here and right around here. We have to show very well where is the border between the object and the background. So right here we're gonna go really, really dark, and we're gonna try to make the background right here, this shadow, the traced shadow that the object traces on the background, we're gonna make it darker than the cast shadow. And it already starts looking like this sphere is dimensional. And it's gonna look even better once you have all these really, really, really dark squares behind. And you do exactly the same thing for all three spheres. And once you finish, you're gonna see how really, really beautiful this 3D design is gonna look. We're gonna have a little bit of reflected light right here, but it shouldn't be too light. So why I chose Kit Haring as using his little figures for finishing the design. They're very simple and really cool, I think, addition to optical illusions. Because this is going to be very dimensional, we're going to try to create this feel of 3D, but these little figures are very flat, so there is a contrast between dimensional and flat. And in my designs, I will definitely try to work with black and white, monochromatic, and some very, very bright pop of color. If you have a lot of color, obviously, in your optical illusion, you should make the figure white or black, depending on how dark your optical illusion turns to be. How I made the little figure, I'll get a different piece of paper and I'll show you. You just get whatever paper you have, and you just very simply, you can go online and find any kind of look at Kit Haring's artworks and decide which one of his figures you like the best for each design. I really like this one for this particular design. And you just go ahead and make a very simple silhouette outline of a person. And you choose whichever color you like. Color inside. Obviously you have to think about the size. The one that I'm doing right now, it's a little bit bigger, so I don't know which one I will like for my final version. This smaller one or this bigger one. I'll color inside. I just don't have the time to do a very good coloring right now. You cut it out, and after you cut it out, you make sure that you have a really nice and thick outline around the person. So Kit Haring is one of the artists I admire the most. I think he's absolutely amazing. He's a pop artist from he was in the circle of Andy Warhol, and sadly he lived only 32 years and he died from AIDS in 1990. He lived mostly in New York, but if I'm not mistaken, he's from Philadelphia. And he has this incredible childlike style, and he made a lot of murals. He was part of the street art movement in New York City in the 80s, one of the main figures there. So I think his work is very inspirational, and we can get inspiration from here to finish these optical illusions. So as soon as you do both, finish both optical illusion and Kit Haring inspired figure, you can play around and decide how you want to place them. He can be just flying in space, or he can be right here on the very edge making some very monkey-like movements, or I like him kind of carrying or moving this sphere around. So that's gonna be for now, and just wait for my next video dedicated to Kit Haring and optical illusions. Thanks for watching. Bye.